I used to be jealous when I saw like my friends be like, oh, my mom's my best friend.
Right.
And I'm just like,
Oh my God.
how does that work?
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome to a brand new podcast series called
Spill the Tea with
THG.
And in this podcast series, we will be talking about societal issues that are very close to our hearts, and we hope that the topics that we have chosen will be very relatable to you as well. So do tune in to us on Spotify
And catch us on Instagram and Facebook.
and leave us comments there on topics that you would like us to talk about or give us feedback on our podcast series. I'm XY,
And I'm Genevieve.
and today we are very happy to have two guests join us today, Jaredin and Abzal. And today we are gonna kick off this first podcast episode by talking about a very special topic, which is gaslighting and tiger mums. And we all know tiger mums in our Asian parenting culture as someone being very strict, very authoritative in the family, and specifically mom lah. And I believe that we are all brought up at some point in your life in that way, since we are all Asians in the room, right? I have a tiger mom, and my mom will agree to that if she's listening to this podcast, because the way she brought us up, and I don't fault her for it, because it's a lot of what made me who I am today. Right, and in terms of the kind of expectations I give to myself, and I think there are certain values that I will probably take on if I become a parent myself, to kind of give that kind of expectations to my kids. Now there are certain things that you need to meet. There are certain ways to do it so that you will achieve certain results. Yeah. But how about you guys? Do y'all have any not fond memories, I guess? If it's fond, it's perfect. But any memories about your childhood that if it's this kind of parenting style?
Yeah, ladies first.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very typical Chinese household that the older siblings will take care of the younger one. So I'm the youngest in the family, so I was kind of brought up by my sisters.
Okay.
So I don't have tiger mums. I have, to a certain extent, tiger sisters.
Okay.
Tiger
Okay.
titty,
No,
You are the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Right?
I'm
You're
the youngest. So because it's a very under the carpet tigerish, because I have a very overachiever as a sister.
Okay.
Because she does so well, and the expectations fall on me.
Right.
to
You're being
meet
compared to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, comparison is another Asia specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the comparison between you and neighbors' kids, you and your cousins, you and your siblings.
Right.
A little bit of rivalry, competitiveness is good, but sometimes it gets overboard.
Yeah, I do remember having that from my mom. We always compare with our neighbors' kids or my cousins, and I among that age group of my cousins, I am the only guy. The rest are girls, and there are pros and cons to it. But I don't know. Maybe girls generally do better academically.
She coughing because you agree or you don't agree?
Yeah, girls to me generally do academically better, especially when when at least for me and when I was younger, and that's why I'm always compared to them. Like I don't score as well in like spelling or last time we have in Chinese it's called 习字 some practicing
Got it.
writing practice lah. I don't write very well, not as pretty as ladies. So I was always being compared with that. As a guy, I want to do everything right, and if you don't get to do it, I get hurt. Yeah. But there are also certain things that I can do and they can't, like most of the heavy lifting stuff lah.
Yes.
The gaslighting part really comes in when it actually hurts me as a young child lah. But when I was a lot younger, I just like brush it off and just don't care about it and just move on.
Yeah, that's very good. Because I know when I was younger, I like to suppress my emotions a lot. I think a lot of us do that. Especially when your mom says something hurtful, then you just like keep it in. You're just like, just you kind of lose a bit of trust with your parents, especially when they scold you in public or like in front of your friends or anything, or like compare you like excessively. Then you just feel like, I don't want to tell you my feelings, so you just like hide it, and like that's very dangerous lah, because like communication really is key.
Right.
I guess a lot of it is not that we hide our feelings. It's more on cultural wise, we were taught not to show.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we were taught not to show by people or family commenting, why are you so dramatic?
Yeah.
Why are you making something out of nothing? This is nothing, it's a small issue.
Yeah.
But be it big or small, it differs from people to people. You might think it's small, but to me it's huge.
Yes.
So that's the thing.
As a kid, some certain things are like super big to you, but
Yeah.
maybe to your parents it's just something. So that in that case, it's similar to what you said. Yeah.
It's very normal to think that like kids don't know anything also, or like it's very normal for like parents to be like just say something like while they're angry and then just expect the child to like forget it later, you know. It's like wow, why are you so stupid? It's just like a momentary thing.
Yeah.
But then like even like the children might keep that in their hearts for like a very long time and might not even be able to brush it off, even like when they're in their late 20s or something. Yeah.
I'm one of those that cannot brush it off.
Right.
So I can remember things like you said to me 20 years ago. and I'm still affected. As much as they might do it unknowingly, they might gaslight you unknowingly. There are certain damage they already caused.
Yeah.
Some of us grow out of it. Good for you. Some of us don't. And then what's the consequence of that if we don't?
Yeah. And how long is that gonna affect you? Growing up, how many years? Like you said, even now you're still
Even now.
kind of affected by it.
I guess unknowing is one thing, but with good intentions is also another thing. Like now that I'm thinking about it, right? One way my parents kind of gaslighted me was when I was about 14 or 15. Like I think my dad or my mom, I can't remember who, was telling me like, oh, this group of friends, you shouldn't go out with them anymore because I don't think they're good enough for you. Or you shouldn't be with this kind of people. And I'm like, exactly what you said, XY. These things are so important to me. Like, this is my group of friends. We stuck through each other for like 8 years. And then suddenly they say like, no, they're not good enough for you. And suddenly, my whole world disappears. As a child, I think that's so important. Yeah.
And also, like, to add on to what Genevieve said just now, it's a lot of because I'm older, I know better than you. That's why you should follow on this. And I think explaining the actions is quite important, and something that younger generation parents can also learn from it. It's when you discipline your child in a certain way, it helps to explain and tell them why they are being disciplined. And that's something that for me I didn't quite get when I was a lot younger. And my parents is like what Abzal said, like, you just do it. Like, I don't want you to hang around with this group of friends. And when you ask why, it's maybe it's hard for them to explain as well. But as a child, you'll be like, but they're my friends.
Yeah.
Right, and I hang out, I see them in school, and you're telling me that I can't hang out with them. It makes me the odd one out in school now. And when I tell them, hey, sorry, my dad told me I cannot hang out with you, then they were like, huh, why? What have I done wrong? So this trickles down to your friendships as well. But yeah, I guess explaining to your kid, it's something that is quite important. Why they're being disciplined for and why they cannot do certain things.
I agree. Instead of just saying things like, I know better than you. I've been through more, or I've been through what you have really been through. So this, I will give you the best advice. But once again, as what Jen said, that communication is key. Yes, you might know better. You might know better based on your situation. But now it's my situation. I might have a different point of view. Our circumstances may be a little bit different. And that changes how we want to deal with it, how we choose to want to deal with it. It's different times.
It's different times, yes.
It's different times, and it changes.
Yeah, and it's also the level of maturity you're at that phase of life. Certain reasoning might work like when you're a lot older. But if you're like primary school, like lower primary especially, you don't really understand. And I guess parents also, there are certain parameters that as a parent you need to give, so that I just tell you this, you just follow it because it's good for you growing up. But if you use the same method to parent your child when he's or she is in the teens, it might be different. Because they will be expecting an answer, a reason behind it, like why. Especially now kids are getting smarter with technology and all that, right? And that kind of, I feel, goes down to even a younger generation. Like even I would say upper primary now, kids, they need to reason with you lah. Like why can't I do that? Why can't I use my iPad? Why can't I bring my iPad to school?
Yeah.
You know,
It's the
man.
why.
it's the why. Yeah. And how much of it it's gaslighting, it really is then determined by the words that you choose lah.
Yeah.
And
Your choice of words.
Yeah, your choice of words, and knowing that, you know, whatever you're gonna say will have certain consequence.
Yes.
And you just as a parent need to be aware of that whether or not this consequence you are willing to, it's the best for your kid or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
And another thing about gaslighting, right, it's not just about like what they say to their child. It's really about listening to their child's opinion and what their child has to say and accepting the child's emotions. Because like a lot of times, I don't know if you have heard it, like your parents tell you, oh, you're not stressed, I'm stressed. You don't understand what it is. Or like, you're not tired, I am tired. You know, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Or when they're talking, they're like, oh, the adults are talking, you don't listen in because you don't understand it. You're not old enough to understand it. It's just like, it's a bit hurtful to a child sometimes. Like, what do you mean that I don't know this? Like, I can try to understand. And most of the time, they can understand. It's really about handling them and like just showing them that, you know, you are open to speak. You have opinions. And not just like saying like, how like, moms might tell the boys like, oh, you cannot cry, only girls can cry.
Yeah. Oh,
It's-
this is a very typical thing.
Yeah,
You know,
like
about girls and boys.
And boys cannot have tears, is it?
yeah, and like and like boys cannot like fear things, or boys must be manly all the time, or that kind of thinking, and like it really suppresses the boys' emotions, and like it's not very healthy lah on the child.
Agree?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it it will become a very memorable moment in the kid's life. Like, and what kind of education you wanna give your kids as well. Like for example, when you say boys cannot cry, right?
Yeah.
And in Chinese they have a saying that you should bleed and you shouldn't cry. Like in Chinese it's 流血不流泪. You can bleed but you cannot cry.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So yeah, you can shed blood but you cannot shed tears. And that's something that it's quite important as well, because there are a lot of there are a lot of responsibilities that fall on men to protect the family, to protect, you know, people around you, and that's why, you know, crying it's a form of showing weakness and all that. But then on the other side, it's is it true that if I cry I'm showing weakness?
I
You know,
think
it's
the idea of it is, yes, you can cry, but how are we going to create a safe environment so that they can cry?
yes, that's true.
If I'm being told that at home, means you're taking away that one safe environment I have to feel this. Does that mean that I cannot cry at home? When home is supposed to be that safe space. So even if in that safe space I'm being gaslighted to say that I cannot be this way because I have to be a certain way, then what that leaves me?
Yes.
Nothing. I have no safe space.
Yeah, and the children will try and seek solace in something else, and then the parents will be like, why are you not talking to us? Why are you not doing this?
Agree.
Yeah, then they'll grasp even tighter, you know?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, my parents are like that. And then, like, sorry, mom and dad, but, like, but, like, I never got my own key until last week. And I'm 20
congrats.
years old. Yay,
Small
I know.
wins,
Yeah,
yay.
thank you, mom and dad. And like, I love y'all. Okay, but, like,
My sister is the one that throughout my secondary school life, she's the one that expects me to go home right after school. And once I reach home, I have to call her with my house phone just to tell her I'm at home.
whoa.
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that wasn't right for me.
Okay.
That's not bad. That might work for some people, you know, with certain system structure and stuff like that. But that was bad for me because you didn't tell me why. Why should I do that?
Yeah.
I mean, during our secondary school years are the years that we question all authorities.
Yes, yeah.
Authorities are bad, you know, that kind of thing. So the idea that she always gives is because I'm your sister. So what? Yet because I was brought up in a very traditional Chinese environment, I didn't voice all this out. I have all this unfairness that I feel, grievances and stuff, but I didn't have a safe outlet to voice them out. So home became a not safe environment to be me. You know, a lot of times our family will say, so Also, you'd rather choose your friends. You know, I think we all got that one way or another. So, but why do we do that? Is it because we don't feel pressurized to be somebody we are not? We don't feel guilt-tripped to be somebody, to do something because that is failure. You have to do that. Is their gaslighting and their tiger mom ways the reason why we are drifting away from them during this formation years?
That's a very good point. So I think today, this day and age, there are a lot of things that younger parents are also facing. As much as they know, I should be choosing my words wisely. I want the best for my kids. A lot of it is still, living in this Asian culture. There are certain expectations that as an Asian kid you are being asked to uphold. Certain values, certain ways of doing things, certain traditions that you need to uphold. And I think that is honestly one of the real issues that young parents are facing. How much of traditions and values should I be imparting to my kids? I'm not a parent yet, and I don't think any one of us in this room we are parents yet. But I think these are genuine issues, because especially our generation of kids, our parents and to kids, they are at their formative years, right? Yeah. And it's very important to put them in the right space, right mindset, right framework, so that they can grow well. And so what advice would y'all think y'all need if y'all one day will be parents?
Wow, I think for me, let me think. I think because right now there's so many different kinds of parenting, I'm just trying to think of which one would suit best, which one's not working, which one's working. Like there's the typical helicopter parent who is like everything also will take care for the child.
Right, just a helicopter hovering around. Okay.
And then there's this, I don't know whether you heard it, the snow plow parent about it. Have you heard about it?
Nope.
So they're the ones that any obstacle that the child goes through, right, they just like bang. I cleared it for you, daughter. You can go on now. That kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's there's a lot of ways that there's a lot of what's it called, categories of parenting now. Yeah. My belief is that there's no one right way. It's just different ways to do parenting. I think it's a balance of everything. I mean the weird part of me is things like gaslighting is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. I think the question is whether when is enough and when is too much. I think that's where
drawing the line.
Drawing the line comes in.
For me, it's you gotta communicate with your kid.
Yeah.
I think when we were kids, we failed to see that our parents are humans.
Yeah.
We fail to see that our parents are not perfect. To us, they are like, this authoritative figure, they must know best and they are the greatest, right? But I feel the one big thing that parents should communicate with their kids is this. We are still learning how to be parents. Yeah. So you can point out to us if you feel certain words we use are very hurtful. Is to allow your kids to have this safe space to tell you things. And not to put them down when they choose to open. Be very open to what they have to say.
Yes.
I think a lot of it boils down to ego sometimes. Are you able to put your ego aside and listen to your kids? Be cautious and conscious about what they are saying and about what you are saying, about how you are reacting, about your choice of words. I mean, nobody once said that parenthood is easy.
Yes.
So if you have picked this road, then there are things you need to learn. There are things you need to pick up. There are things you need to change about yourself, even as parents. Parents are not perfect. The cool part, and I only learned this as I started growing older and more mature, is my parents might not be the perfect parents, but they are learning how to be parents. They are all learning. And most of them only had like one example, which is their parents. So if their parents taught them this, they will do this. So I feel that the parents now, at least what they can do is to gain experiences from other people. Might not work for your child, yes, but see how they open up a safe space for the child to talk.
And then formulate it to your own approach.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. That's why, if need be even, go seek professional help.
Yeah.
Talk to a child psychologist. You know, bring them to a session, a few sessions. Let the child psychologist understand them and maybe formulate a good way that you can communicate with them. I think there's no harm in seeking professional help even.
Yeah, and to add on to that also, I totally agree with that, providing that safe space. And it's progressive as well. Like, you know, there are certain, you don't provide a safe space for your kid when they don't understand what safe space is at a very young age. But it's also growing with them since young, understanding which phase of life they are at. And based on that, based on your sensing of their maturity, start creating that space so that by that time, you know, you it's ready for them to step into that, to tell your kid that, hey, you know, if there's any problems, now you understand there are certain things that needs to be done certain way. You know, keep that communication open. You can always talk to mom and dad about any issue under the sun, because at the end of the day, I'm your mom and dad. I'm the only one that's gonna be here to help you throughout this life journey, better than anyone else. Like what Geraldine said as well, opening up the fact that parents are humans as well. We are not perfect creatures, right? And that if there's any feedback that as a mom and dad, I'm not doing right, or I've hurt you, or I have not, I've said things a certain way, you know, tell me about it as well. And then we will change accordingly lah. So just being open to that, accepting that everyone, we are all humans, we make mistakes, and we are just learning from one another. Yes, of course, no doubt, I have more experience than you, because I do lah. That's the fact, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just sharing the experience. And also, there are certain things that I don't know at your level of understanding as well. So, you know, just help each other out. That will be the way to go forward lah. And I think to minimize this whole gaslighting thing, it's not having that psychological barrier between the kid and
I guess it's kind of weird that it's more common to see parents get feedback from other parents than the one they're actually parenting.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of weird.
Right. Why? Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Honestly, I used to be jealous when I saw like my friends be like, "Oh, my mom's my best friend."
Right.
Then I'm just like,
Oh my God.
"How does that work?" Yeah, it is. And honestly, I wish, like, adding on to the point, they would normalize apologizing to our child, especially like when we're doing something wrong. That really clears up the barrier, especially like the ego, especially. That's a very, very big barrier. And and also about the child psychologist, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that children are capable of having mental illnesses and capable of actually understanding it. So like if any parents see that their child is feeling very sad recently or anything, maybe can, like, you know, ask them about their day and really like take their feelings really seriously. I think that will really help a lot.
And I think just to add, you know, one last point is, whenever we reprimand our child, explain to them why. And not just that, but to also let them know, I'm not angry with you as a person. I'm angry about the things that you do.
Yeah, what you did. Right?
And that matters.
Right.
So that they will not build wrong self-worth values about themselves. Angry about the matter, but not at them.
Right.
Because they are still learning too. So you can be angry at them spilling the water, for example. Spilling the tea, right? But you are not angry at them as a person. They are not useless as a person.
Yes.
You know, I think this must be communicated well. Because a lot of times while we were growing up, our parents just scold us. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we are at fault.
Yeah.
But what is it that we are at fault about? You know?
Yeah, and yeah, to wrap things up also, it's about reconciling that relationship. You know, if we are disciplining that a person, the relationship is definitely not ideal. You hurt it some way because no one likes to be disciplined. But then based on facts, right? Why? Explain to them, and then have that objective to reconcile that relationship, because at the end of the day, it's the intentions. I'm not coming from an ill intention. You know, I really want the best because you are my son or daughter, right? So to wrap things up on this topic on gaslighting and tiger moms, I think regardless of the intentions, we know that the trauma is done, right? But as younger parents, we want to keep communications open, you know, and to be able to explain things to your kids, and communication means both ways lah. Regardless of whatever trauma it's done, my intentions is that I want you to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
I want you to be, you are growing up and I'm a parent. I want you to be a better daughter or son. Yeah. So those listening to us, thanks for tuning in. This is Spill the Tea with THG. So do remember to tune in to us on Spotify and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any comments on today's episode, do leave us on the comment sections below or give us any feedback on how we can improve this podcast series for you. Well, until then, talk to you soon.